From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICD Primetime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. And it is that time. So great weekend in sports, right? We had a lot of really good games this weekend. All the games went over except for one last night, the actual game between the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. And pretty much let's get into the Cowboys and Buccaneers last night. Cowboys win their first road playoff game in 30 years with the blowout of Bucs 31-14. Was this Tom's last game? That's the biggest question. But let's talk about the Cowboys winning first. The Cowboys winning was not a surprise. I told you guys exactly how I felt over the weekend, that I felt the Cowboys were going to win the game. I know I didn't have a show yesterday, and it was crazy because I was about to put out the bets for the game last night, but I got a little sidetracked, and then I looked up and the game was starting. So pretty much last night, my clients had the Cowboys on the money line last night, minus 145. I was that confident in them. Also had them with the minus 2.5 as well, too. So, you got a lot of things that pretty much told me that everything was riding towards the Cowboys. The Bucs just weren't good enough to consider themselves an elite team this year. There was no upset in the making in this situation. None of that was going to happen last night unless the Cowboys just really overthought the thing and beat themselves last night. That was the only way the Cowboys were going to lose that game last night. Dak Prescott had the game of games last night. He had 5 total touchdowns. He had 305 yards passing. He threw 4 touchdowns through the air, and he also scored on a bootleg run last night as well, too, to give his Cowboys pretty much no doubt about it win. The Cowboys at one point were up 31-0. So, everything just worked out very well for the Cowboys at the end of the day. Well, actually, they were up 24-0. Then they were up 31-6. But all in all, they did their job last night. They got this one out the way. And I truly do feel like a lot of people had to understand that the Cowboys probably have the best roster in the NFL. And I know that sounds really crazy, but we all know that they are the most overrated team in the NFL as well, too. They have so much talent that once they overthink, they mess it all the way up. And I think it really comes down to the constant nitpicking of their owner that really holds this team up. Let a coach, let a coordinator coordinate, let a player play. Like, literally, it's a very micromanaged situation, believe it or not, with the Cowboys. But every time they get a little loose and let the coach do his job, let the coordinator do his job, let the players do their job, they win games. And they win games very, very convincingly as well, too. The Cowboys are in a position right now where they haven't been for the last 26 years, to be exact. You know what I mean? 26, 27, it doesn't matter. But they're in a position now to where they can possibly win the Super Bowl this year. They could get to a Super Bowl this year. They can get better than just one playoff win this year. So everything has to come together. And last night, I felt like a lot of things came together that showed you, hey, the winner of this Cowboys 49ers game will probably most likely be the representative for the NFC in the Super Bowl. I know that's really bold right now, being that the first seed is the Eagles, and the Eagles are, playing well above the expectations that they had this season. They were seen as a playoff team, but they wound up being the most dominant team in the NFL for literally the first 15 weeks of the season. So I say that they're another team that due to schedule. That's why you were able to ball out so well, because you took care of your business against the bad teams. Same thing goes for San Francisco. And in a lightweight sense, the same thing goes for the Dallas Cowboys. Even though they did not finish the season well, that's an arch rival in Washington at Washington. Of course, they're going to show up and try to beat the Cowboys. So them last week and them this week were total different shells of themselves. And it seems like the Cowboys need to have had some bad games this season, then bounce back and have some really good games, 3 or 4 down the road that they absolutely look great in. So, I'm not worried about the Cowboys in a sense to where are they going to choke this time. I'm more in a sense of we have to understand that when they win, it should not be seen as a big deal or an upset. And we shouldn't really sit here and look at the small things. A lot of people are still talking about the kicker missing 4 extra points. Yeah, that's unfortunate. He missed 4 extra points. But who cares at the end of the day? They won the game by 17, and they were up by 24 when he missed the 4th kick. Who really cares? The defense did their job last night. It doesn't matter if people do their jobs at the end of the day. And no, there's no point of cutting the kicker. He already had a great season. It did not affect the outcome of the game. It might have affected people's point spread or people's points that they had going on in a bet, but that's your personal issue, not his at the end of the day. I'm not trying to defend the kicker for missing kicks, but I'm just trying to say that it's not that easy of a task to make a field goal, dude. It doesn't matter. 20 yards out, 30 yards out, 40 yards out. It's a pressure situation. And usually they make it so easily that there shouldn't be any pressure. That's very understandable. But when things like this happen, it happens. It's not like it was the first time it ever happened. So literally, that's just another way to dig in on the Cowboys. Stop being petty. Seriously, there's no point of doing all of that. That just makes you look really stupid. I'm sorry. It makes you look really dumb. When a team wins by 17 points, I could care less how many kicks the kicker made. They won the game by double digits. That's all what matters at the end of the day. Win and move on. It's that simple. Win and move on. All right, so there it is. There it is. Let's go ahead and jump into the NFL playoffs. And I'm not going to give you guys a preview of the playoffs. What I'm just going to talk about is simple. Just talk about the aftermath of everything. First up, we had a fun game in the Bay at Santa Clara. You had a situation where you had a Seattle team that was up going into the half. They scored 17 points in the second quarter. They had a great about 75-yard touchdown pass and catch from Geno Smith to DK Metcalf. I think DK Metcalf is the second coming of Terrell Owens in a sense. I think that a lot of people probably will say I'm crazy, but him and T.O. are literally like carbon copies of each other. And if you put, say, a DK Metcalf on like the Cowboys, if you put him on the 49ers, if you put him on Chiefs, this guy would be seen as they would probably trying to call him the greatest receiver to ever step on the field. So, DK Metcalf looked really good and he shined out against the 49ers as well, but the 49ers just had something for him. And what it came down to is just an immaculate second half that the 49ers had. The 49ers wound up really shutting it all the way down. They John Taffert that thing. So they shut down the Seahawks in the second half. They wound up winning that game 38-23. Okay. And they won that game in very actually 41-23. They won that game in very convincing fashion in the second half. You know what I mean? So when you look at it, they scored 25 unanswered points there in the second half at one point. Then, Seattle did get themselves a little, nice little touchdown there at the end, but the game was already settled. You know what I mean? And so there you have it with that. Seattle didn't really have much of a shot, but San Francisco did show some kinks in the armor, and they showed that literally every week they may not be able to have the same type of offensive performance. So they're going to need their defense to really tighten it up. But their defense wasn't worried about tightening it up too much because they knew that they could score on the Seahawks. This week will be a different game because they are dealing with this Dallas team that has a much better defense, and they are dealing with the team that is pretty much their arch rival as is too. And I know that they still have that revenge on their mind from last year from what happened in the opening wild card round last season. So I do expect this to have a really, really good game between the 49ers and the Cowboys. And as I said previously, I do see this as de facto the NFC Championship as well, too. Now, in the next game, we're not going to talk about this long, but all I got to say is that the Chargers are a cursed situation. I've been saying this for some time now. They had Ken Wisenhunt. They got rid of him. Whomever. They had Ken Wisenhunt. Then they had their other coach that was after him. He was decent, the Denver coordinator. And then they had Anthony Lynn, who I thought really got the short end of the stick. Everybody blamed him for every Charger problem there is, but they still have the same team running out there on the field every Sunday. Then you have Brandon Staley. And I truly do feel the coaches are not the biggest issue with the Chargers. The Chargers themselves are the biggest issue from the top to the bottom, pretty much point blank. But I do feel like the Chargers really did let down their fan bases in San Diego. They let down their fan bases in LA, and they let down the whole state of California. And literally, they let down the whole NFL world. They were up 27-0. And everybody was ready to sing the praises of the Chargers and turn the Chargers into their dark horse AFC pick. I know people were thinking that in the back of their head. They already had it on their mind that I'm going to bet it big on the money line on the Chargers if they play the Chiefs next week. We all were thinking that. I know I definitely was thinking that, where I was like, well, the Chiefs are going to be in trouble now. And literally by the time we got to the point in the game where it was the end of the second quarter coming up, and the Jaguars kind of scored, a sacrificial touchdown from just getting spanked 27-0 to start the game off, I said to myself, buckle up, the Chargers are about to be in trouble. Because the way that the Jaguars went down the field on that drive, they literally just Swiss cheese the LA defense. And I said to myself, they're going to get really comfortable because they really feel like Herbert's going to be able to keep having good drives and keep getting them touchdowns. Well, that didn't happen. What happened was exactly what I feared most, is that the Jaguars were going to get some confidence, which they did, and they went right out there and they scored a touchdown to start the second half. And then what happens is that they score another touchdown in the second half on a long play. Then you wind up having, the Chargers kick a field goal, and you feel better because they're up 30-21 at that point or whatever. And then boom, they get hit with the 30-20 actually, because they couldn't get the 2-point conversion in. So pretty much you're telling yourself, well, we should be all right. And then they score again, get the 2-point conversion. And the moment the Chargers were not able to finish off that final drive to close the game out, I said to myself, ball game, Jags about to win. And guess what happens? The Jags win the game 31-30. It's very simple because the Chargers are a team that literally overthinks everything as well too. And what happens is that when they're in a good position, they're going to figure out a way to mess it up. And I thought the Chargers did a great job in the last 5 weeks of not messing it up. They even had themselves a nice blowout win over the Rams. And I felt like, okay, now they're holding blowouts. They should be a better team this year. And what happened is that they couldn't hold on to a 27-point lead. It happens. Same thing happened to the Chiefs a while ago with Andy Reid as the coach. They lost the game where they were up 38-10. And this was mid-third quarter as well, too. So that's where you just go to say that the NFL is a tough place. And the playoffs are a tough situation if you don't do the basics. And that's what happened to the Chargers. They didn't do the basics. All right, so we move on, and we had ourselves a hell of a game between the Bills and the Dolphins. The Dolphins surprised all of us by coming out and actually competing. They are another team that had a 17-point quarter as well, too, that was able to propel them to a very serious game with the Bills. that got them to where they needed to be throughout the game. But the Bills were just too much, and the Bills had that emotional high riding with them because of their fallen teammate Hamlin. So they had a lot going for them, but they won a game that we all expected them to win. I didn't know if they were going to cover. I didn't really have the biggest confidence in the world with them covering, but they did go ahead and they did impress upon us that they are ready for these tough games. And I think that a lot of people have to understand that this team is a legit Super Bowl contender. And next week will be a huge, this weekend coming up will be a huge game against Cincinnati. Both these teams know exactly how they feel and how they feel about each other. And I know the Bengals are very frustrated right now because they didn't get the opportunity to get a chance at the first seed. And I know they feel like in the back of their head that they were going to win that game because they're a hot team coming into the playoffs, by far the hottest team coming into the AFC side of things. So this is going to be a really, really good game, and I do look forward to it. Now, you had the game of the weekend between the Vikings and the Giants, and the Giants were absolutely tremendous in that spot. They were able to close this game out. They got themselves a lead, and they really didn't let up on that lead. And then when they were able to, when it was time to close the game, they closed it out. They played such good defense that they had it to where Kirk Cousins could only throw for a 3-yard pass on 4th and 8. So that goes to show you that the Giants are tuned in. They're madly focused on ruffling up some feathers this year. I don't think that they win a Super Bowl, but they're absolute issue and an absolute problem going into this Philadelphia game this weekend, in my opinion, to be honest with you. I think that, they just came off of a 6-point loss against Philly. Philly was up 22-0 in that game, but they figured out a way to make the game close with a backup quarterback. So there's a lot of things that factor into this matchup Saturday, and we'll talk about all this stuff as we get along with this week. And then we finished up with the Ravens and the Bengals. I just already talked about the Bengals winning the game. That was another really good game. The Bengals were very fortunate that they were able to have that play happen at the goal line, and Hubbard was able to run back a 98-yard fumble return as well too. So the Bengals won a game that kind of went the way that we all expected. It would come down to the last possession, and that's absolutely what happened. And what happened is that the favorite won the game. The Bengals were the favorite going in. If Lamar Jackson played, I think that the Ravens would have won that game by 3 or better. So, it's a game of inches. It's a game of personnel as well. And I just think that the Bengals were very fortunate to have all their guys ready to roll. So that's my playoff review, the NFL Wildcard Aftermath, and we'll have more for you as we move along this week in the world of the playoffs. So we'll see how it goes, see how it checks out. Sorry, had a little bit of the hiccups. And tomorrow I have a little bit more of an opinion about what's going on with the Chargers situation as well, too, moving forward with the coaching spots and things like that as well, because I want to get a little bit more in-depthly in there, but we don't have time like that to go ahead and just talk about the Chargers for 10-15 minutes. So I move forward, and let's go ahead and jump into some college basketball. And as you guys know, we got a brand new top 25 out this week. We got a lot of teams that are out the top 10 this week, and we got a lot of teams entering the top 10 this week. We also have UCLA, who's now number 5 in the nation. They moved up 2 spots. Gonzaga moved up to number 6. Our top 4 spots are all stand packed. Houston's still the number 1 team in the nation. Kansas, the team I feel is the number 1 team in the nation. They are number 2. They had 23 first place votes as well too. Then you have Purdue, who's still 17-1. They've moved down from number 1 to number 3. And then you still have Alabama here, who is fortunate to be here because they are seriously here because they got wins over 2 number 1s, and literally are the only people that did beat the number 1 team in the nation as well too. So deservingly so, they are in that spot. You got Texas that moved back into the top 10 a little bit in better position. They moved up 3 spots as well. And the most impressive team to make the top 10 this week is Xavier. Xavier is actually on a 8-game winning streak, and they are an 8 or 11-game winning streak, and they have entered now the top 10. They are the number 8 team in the nation and the highest ranked team in the Big East at this moment. Also, Tennessee, who had a really bad game against Kentucky, falls to number 9 from number 5. And then Virginia finds themselves back in the top 10 as well, too, after getting a good win over the weekend as well. And then Arizona is a team that fell out of the top 10. And then also you had Iowa State, who moved up spots, and they actually lost last week. Kansas State moved down a little bit, and then you have TCU moved up 3 spots, deservingly so, as I like to say. So that gives you right now 5 teams in the Big 12 that are in it. UConn's fallen all the way out of the top 5, top 10. They are now the 15th ranked team in the nation. Auburn has moved up 5 spots, now 16th team in the nation. And you have Miami, who's coming fresh off of a loss. They only dropped a spot. They're 17th now. And then you have Charleston, who's quietly raising up the ranks. They moved up 4 spots. They're now number 18 in the nation. And then you have Clemson, who's just moved into the top 25 once again. They are the top team in the ACC this year as well, too. They're number 19. It goes to show you that we have one ACC team that's in the mix, right? Well, we got 2 ACC teams that are in the mix, but we got an uncommon one here in Clemson. Now, Marquette is in here as well, too, number 20 in the nation. And then you have Baylor, who's the 6th Big 12 team that's in the group. Providence, another Big East team here. And Rutgers enters the group as well, too, this week. First time they've been ranked in some time as well, too. They're 13-5 on the year, number 23. And then, surprise, surprise, Florida Atlantic finds themselves as a top 25 basketball team for the first time ever. They're number 24 in the nation and at 17-1. And literally, Arkansas fell 10 spots. They're barely in the top 25. They are the 25th team in the nation. And honorable mentions, we got NC State, St. Mary's, and Arizona State all on the outside looking in. New Mexico, who's dropped 2 out of their last 3, they are also on the outside looking in. Illinois and San Diego State as well, too. Michigan State, Duke, and North Carolina all unranked. Wisconsin as well, too. So there it is. There it is. Texas A&M, another really good team, unranked. Missouri's unranked right now. Iowa's unranked. And also Ohio State's unranked as well, too. So, that just goes to show you how deep and how stacked the college basketball season is this year as well, too. So let's jump into our next topic in hand. And just real quick, we're going to talk about the CBB game of the day, and that's going to be in the Big East, and that's going to be between Texas and Iowa State. This game is going to be at Ames as well, too. You have a Texas team coming in here trying to get themselves further ahead here in the tough Big 12, trying to keep up with Kansas as well, too. Kansas, like I said before, best team in the nation, playing in the best conference. All these teams are superbly ready for the NCAA tournament. This is the only conference that you can name right now that literally can get every single team into the tournament. The only team that they will have probably an issue getting into the tournament right now is Oklahoma State. But I am looking at this as well, too. I think the 6 that are ranked are shoo-ins for the tournament. Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, and West Virginia are going to have to claw and scrap a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. But Kansas is coming in here 5-0 into the conference, 16-1. But tonight's game is between 2 teams with 1 loss in the conference. That's Texas and Iowa State. And Texas is 15-2 coming into this one, while you have an Iowa State team that's 13-3. Now, Texas is coming in here winners of their last 3 in a row after losing by 13 to Kansas State on the 3rd of this month. So they are looking to add another win to their win to this record right here and trying to get their 4th in a row. Now, you got Iowa State, who just got done winning 6 in a row. Then Saturday, they lost by 2 at Lawrence. So they literally were on the brink of beating the Jayhawks, but they fell short. So, Iowa State comes in here with a lot of confidence, and this is a rough spot for a team like Texas, in my opinion. I truly do like Iowa State going into this game. I feel good about this game. Well, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. And when I get back, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into the NBA, starting with the state of the Lakers. And then we're going to jump into the NBA Tuesday night. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune into Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we're back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles. Let's go ahead and get into the state of the Lakers. And the Lakers last night got themselves a really good win. LeBron was able to get 48 points last night as well, too. That was huge for LeBron. Also, he was able to they were able to get a lot of things going in the right direction as well, too. And the Lakers, to me, as I said before, or as I said on Jeff's show earlier today, when he asked me about the Lakers, I truly do feel that the Lakers are a team that is really on the brink of having a big streak and finding themselves right back in the good graces of all the NBA talking heads, because the Lakers are the 13th seed. Yes, they are, but they're 20-24. Okay. And that, look, and my whole point is this: the Lakers are only 2.5 games out of the 6th seed. Okay. So if the Lakers were able to, say, win 10 in a row, they could move themselves to the top of the Pacific Division. That's how far apart these teams are. That's how close it is, because the Kings are only 5 games ahead of the Lakers, okay? And they lead the division. Then the Clippers are only 2.5 games ahead of them. The Warriors are 2 games ahead of them, and then the Phoenix Suns are only a half game ahead of them. And the Suns are actually sitting at the 12th seed right now. That team is absolutely atrocious right now. They've actually, it's just that they're. But the surprise team is Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City has won their last 6 out of 10 games, but they're also 21-23 on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoff picture as well, too. So every team in the West is in a playoff position from 4 to 13. And that's absolutely nuts, because the thing is, you have 2 teams that have absolutely no shot at the playoffs. That's San Antonio and Houston. But everybody else is fair game, which is crazy, because literally you have 3 teams with losing records in the play-in. Okay. And the Lakers are not that far behind these teams. Now, if the Lakers would have won at least if they would have won that game on Sunday, and now their record would look a little different. It would be 22-23 going into this game. Actually, 21-23, to be honest. Let me take that back. It'd be 21-23. That means the Lakers would have been sitting at the 11th seed. Say if they would have won a few of those games last week, the ones that they lost to Denver, and I'm trying to think who else they lost to last week, because they lost to Denver and they lost to Dallas last week. So say if they would have won that Dallas game last week, this team is 22-22. Now they're really looking at the 7th seed. So the Lakers just need that run right now. And last night was a big win for them, because that was a game they should have lost, because literally you had a Houston team that was trying their damnedest to win that game last night. Houston dropped 71 points in the second half last night. That's absolutely tremendous. And they dropped 63 in the first half. Lakers dropped 71 in the first half. And you see what I'm trying to say is there was absolutely no defense being played in that game last night. And the Rockets even had a guy who's never scored more than 15 points actually scored 33 last night in Sagan. And I was taken away fairly impressed by Jalen Green. I haven't seen Jalen Green play for a long period of time in a game. And I saw him last night, and I was very intrigued by the way that his approach with the game and his scoring acumen as well too. I think that guy is a star that we're not talking enough about. And then Jabari Smith was good in his own right. He figured out ways to keep them there, but Green and Sagan had themselves a great game, but much props to the starting five because the starting five all scored in double figures last night, and they did that. The Lakers last night, they had a great bench effort last night. They actually had 60 points coming off the bench last night. Russ had himself a game last night, second leading scorer with 24. As I said before, LeBron had 48. Pat Bev actually was contributing last night. He wound up scoring 11 points. Schroeder was a little off, but he was still plus 10 on the plus and minus. He had 9 points. Tommy Bryant could have did a little better last night. He had 6 points with 6 rebounds. And Troy Brown wasn't that great last night either, but he didn't shoot that much either. So, how it goes. But Nunn and Gabriel were tremendous off the bench. They combined for 29 together. 29 points and 11 rebounds together. And, Toscano Anderson figured out a way to add in his 7 points, and that was good enough for the Lakers. But without the 48, the Lakers absolutely get crushed last night. So pretty much LeBron to save the day again. And I truly do feel, like I said before, if the Lakers could have just got 2 out of 3 of those wins in their 3-game losing streak, there's a different picture right now. The Lakers are actually a playoff team at this point. And with the way that the schedules is set up and the way the games are looking, the Lakers can't consider themselves in the play-in spot because literally it's between 6 teams. Crazy. I know. 7 teams to be exact. So we are far from anybody solidifying a playoff spot in the West unless you're in those top 3 spots. And New Orleans is still a little suspect because they have Zion out for some time now as well, too. And Memphis, you already know that they're a John Morant injury away from things kind of falling apart over there. The Nuggets are really in good shape because the Nuggets probably have the deepest roster when it comes to teams in the Western Conference, in my bold opinion. So with that, we move on. Let's go ahead and jump into our next topic, which is going to be the NBA Tuesday night. Lakers got a game tomorrow night. Can't wait to talk about that. They'll be taking on the division-leading Sacramento Kings. I'm going to say it twice for you. The division-leading Sacramento Kings. I know that's the first time we've said something like that at this point. First time we said something like that in the last 16 years to probably, you know what I mean? So, it's been a while, Sacramento. It's been a while. So NBA Tuesday night, we have 4 games tonight, 4 really good games. We actually have 2 games with the East versus the West, and then we have East versus East game and a West versus West game tonight. And we have a divisional game tonight as well, too. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun tonight in the NBA. Let's go ahead and jump into our first game of the night, and that's going to be between the Raptors and the Bucs. And the Raptors and Bucs meet up again for the second time this month. The Bucs actually won the first game 104-101 as well too. So they got a few more meetings after this one, but this game tonight is really up in the air because you do have the Bucs as a 1.5 point favorite tonight, and you have a Raptors team that is they're playing decent on the road, but they could be better. The Raptors come into this game 4-4 in the month of January. They also got a good win over the Knicks, beating them 123-121 at the Garden. They are 6-13 on the road, 6-11 as an underdog, 14-17 straight up versus the Eastern Conference. Now against the spread, they're 22-22 on the road against the spread. They are 9-10 against the spread as an underdog. They're 10-7. And versus the Eastern Conference, they're 16-15 against the spread. Now, when it comes to the over and under in 44 games, they've went over 24 times. Now, the Bucs come in here 5-4 in the month of January. They won their last game by 13 against the division rival, the Pacers, and they are 17-5 straight up at home, 24-9 straight up as a favorite, and then they're 16-13 straight up versus the Eastern Conference. Now, against the spread, they're 23-18 at home. They're 15-17 versus as a favorite against the spread, 19-12-2, and then 13-13-2 against the spread versus the Eastern Conference. Now, when it comes down to their over and under, they are split in their 44 games at 22. Now, when I look at this one, I say to myself that this one is more of a scoreboard watch. So I do like the under in this spot. The under 222.5 looks like it should be a thing, but it did drop off half a point as well too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, but we're scoreboard watching in this one. All right, so we move forward. Let's talk about the Spurs and the Nets. The Spurs coming to this game very, very struggling, and you got a Nets team that's keeping their head above water with no KD, but they're doing a good job, though. They're still top of the Eastern Conference. That shouldn't be a problem because the Eastern Conference isn't as crazy as the West right now. The Nets do lead this series 1-0. They won on the 2nd of this year. By beating the Spurs 139-113 in Brooklyn. They also come into this game, like I said before, 3-3 in the month of January. They lost the last 2 games in a row, though, but these were tough games. They lost to OKC and they lost to Boston. And, OKC's playing some of the best under-the-radar basketball this season. Now you have a Nets team that's 14-8 straight up on the road. They're 22-8 straight up as a favorite, and then straight up versus the Western Conference, they're 7-7 against the spread. They're 20-21-1 against the spread on the road. They're 12-10, and against the spread as a favorite, they're 14-15-1. And versus the West, they're 8-6 against the spread. Now, when it comes to their 42 games, they've went under in 25 of them. The Spurs are actually 1-7 this month. They've lost their last 5 games in a row. They're also 8-14 straight up at home. And then as an underdog, they're 11-30 as an underdog this year. They're 8-7 straight up versus the East. And then in 44 games this year, they're 21-23 against the spread. And at home against the spread, they're 12-10. As an underdog, they're 19-22. And against the spread versus the Eastern Conference, they have a winning record in that regard as well, too. They're 10-5 against the spread when it comes to Eastern Conference teams. Now, when it comes to the over and under in their 44 games, they went over 26 times. All right, so what I see with this one, I know this is kind of a game where I'm being very obvious here, and it's not hard to be very obvious here because – literally, you have a team in the Spurs that are just really playing bad basketball right now. I've looked up the box scores. They've been giving up like 130 each game in this 5-game losing streak as well, to 130 or better. So I can't trust a team that's giving up almost 150 points a game. I can't do it. So regardless of the Nets not having KD tonight and knowing Kyrie probably ain't going to play as hard as he should, I still will take these guys with the -4. Jacque Vaughn's coaching is that good to the point to where these bad teams, they just beat them up now because Jacque's not going to let you slack a minute in these games because he knows that you guys need to win these type of games and win them in fine fashion as well, too, so you can keep that confidence up. All right, so I do like the under. I do like the Nets with the they've dropped down now to a -4. I think that people are seeing that the Spurs are a very good team against the Eastern Conference, and that's probably giving them the confidence to go ahead and run that bet on the Spurs tonight. I can't do it the way that the Spurs are playing, not against the Nets. I know they know KD tonight, but still, I just can't do it. You got the Blazers 21-22. You got the Nuggets with the second best record in the league, best record in the Western Conference at 30-13. Absolutely incredible for Denver right now as well too. They're playing really, really good basketball. And believe it or not, you have a Boston team that's 33-12. So, I know nobody's dreaming up a Boston Denver final, but they played some pretty good games against each other this year as well too. Now, you have Portland coming into this game struggling a bit into this month. The Nuggets actually lead this season series 2-1. This will be their final game of the regular season versus each other. Blazers coming here 3-5 in the month of January. They won their last two though after a 5-game losing streak. Now on the road they're 10-14 as an underdog, 9-14, and versus their division they're 4-6, and this is all straight up. Now against the spread they're 24-19. On the road, 12-12 against the spread, 13-10 as an underdog against the spread. They're 5-5 against their division this year against the spread. Now, when it comes down to the over/under in their 43 games, they've actually went under in 22 of them. So, yep, there you have it with the Blazers tonight. The Blazers look to come in here and try to even this series up for the season. And this is the type of game where the Blazers can catch you slipping, in my opinion. Now, Nuggets, man, they are playing lights out basketball right now. They are 7-1 in the month of January. They've won their last 6 games in a row. They're 19-3 straight up at home, 25-9 straight up as a favorite, and they're 7-3 straight up versus the Northwest this year. Now, against the spread, 22-20-1. At home against the spread, 13-18, 8-1, 16-17-2 against the spread as a favorite. And then versus the Northwest, they're 4-6 against the spread. Now, when it comes down to the over and under, they've actually went under in 22 of their 43 games. Tonight, I know that the Nuggets look like they're a very sexy pick. They have one of the best records at home as well, too. But still, I think what happens here is that this Nuggets team has been playing so well this month, and they get caught in the crossfire, as I like to say. And the Blazers are actually coming in here winning 2 in a row after losing 5 in a row. So their confidence is better. This is a divisional matchup, so all bets are seriously off. So it's okay for you to take a +6 or what I'm doing right now, a +190 money line on the Blazers tonight. I think they win this game by 4 or better. Just keeping it real. I think the Blazers have themselves a great game against the Nuggets team that's kind of been going again, kind of playing on a high right now, but they've been playing some pretty bad, lousy teams at the same time too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and we move forward from there. All right, so Blazers, Nuggets, and then we end up with the Clippers and the 76ers, and these teams are meeting for the second time this year on the 23rd of December. The Sixers won by 5, 119-114. Now tonight, the 76ers complete their two-game Staples tour, and they did beat the Lakers by what was it, 4 points on Sunday. So they're trying to get back into this one and sweep both these teams and sweep the season series on both LA squads. Now the Sixers do come into this game 6-2 in the month of January. They've won their last 2 games in a row. They're 10-9 straight up on the road as well too. 5-6 straight up as an underdog. They're a slight underdog tonight in this game. The Clippers are the favorite for now, but I think what happens here, this winds up being a pick 'em. You have a 10-6 straight up versus the Western Conference this year as well too. They're 23-19-1 against the spread on the road. They're 8-11, and then they're 6-5 against the spread as an underdog. Against the spread versus the West, they're 9-7, and then when it comes down to the over/under, they're 26-17. Okay, you got the Clippers 2-5 in the month of January. They won their last game 121-100 at versus Houston. Also, they're 13-10 straight up at home this year. They're 18-9 straight up as a favorite, 10-8 against the spread and straight up versus the Eastern Conference. And then they're 22-23-1 against the spread. 11-11 against the spread at home, 8-10 against the spread as an underdog, 17-28. They've had 45 games this year. They've went under in 28 of them. So the Clippers are the team that has the most unders in the NBA as well, too, just to give you guys a heads up. So when I look at this one, I'm betting the over in this spot because the 76ers score points. The Clippers will score points tonight. It's going to be a really good game. And I actually think the Clippers might slightly edge the 76ers tonight as well, too. They didn't look that great against the Lakers the other night. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take us a final break. And when I get back, we're going to go ahead and jump into talking tickets. So with that, we will be right back, and this is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, so it is what it is at the end of the day. Pretty much we are here, and let's go ahead and jump into the this right here. CBB PrimeTime PK6, 39-1 plus 14 with Boston College today. And then Kansas is minus 130. Also, UMass is plus 10.5 coming into this game today. Also have Iowa State money line minus 145. I did feel like they are going to win this game today. Also have Kentucky with the minus 11 today as well, too. And then we finish up with Boise State with the minus 5.5. This is going to give us a 39-1 ticket in the NCAA. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. Then we have ourselves the DogDay PK4, 43-1. We got Northern Illinois money line plus 250 today. And I'm about to drop the college bets list for you guys today as well, too. So you guys will be fairly surprised at what you see in the MAC today as well, too. They're not my only dog in the MAC today either. So I'm just giving you guys a clue on where we're going with that. Then we got the University of Illinois in Chicago with the plus 130. They're playing at Valpo tonight. And then we got Clemson with the plus 155 tonight going against Wake Forest. And then we wrap it up with Baylor at the plus 115 tonight in their game at Texas Tech. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. It's 43-1 on the DogDay PK4. Hopefully we can get this bad boy home because this is a nice ticket. Because if you put the 20 on the spot on there, you will get yourself back 86 on that. So that means 860. So yeah, those are some good numbers right there. Don't sleep on this ticket. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. All right, we wrap it up with the NBA Tuesday Night PK4, and we got a 19-1 ticket here. We got the under 222 with the Raptors and the Bucs. We got the -4 on the Nets. Our NBA dog of the day with the Blazers plus 190. And then we have the over 223 with the 76ers and the Clippers. If you guys want to add the Blazers in as a super high five dog day ticket, I would suggest to do so, because if you did that, then that ticket will jump to about probably to about 80 to 90-1. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But I do like this ticket tonight. I like everything that we're on. And I love the short nights a little bit. Sometimes when we got too many games on the bill, it can get a little too much. So you guys be on the lookout for the CBB bets list in a moment. Also, my clients, be on the lookout for today's exclusive client bets. And if you guys are interested in being clients, you guys can hit me up on the Twitter, or you guys can email me at primewavemedia@yahoo.com. And we can get you guys situated, get you started, and get you moving forward, get you cashing them tickets. You got to remember, I'm one of the most credible cappers in this business. I didn't start doing this yesterday. We started this all the way back in 2015. So pretty much just let me know what you want to do. We move forward from there. And I'm just very excited about what we got going moving forward as well too. So I got a great show for you guys tomorrow. Hopefully we get Mike Abadir in the room. Hopefully like we were supposed to last Friday, so we can go ahead and talk some great sports angles with him tomorrow. And you guys just make sure to tune in. I look forward to it. We're gonna have some sports talk. We're gonna have some angles and things like that as usual, and we'll just go ahead and have ourselves another banging ass show. You know how it goes. So I thank you guys very much for tuning in once again. And as I said before, this is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.